What's going on, America? Have you had your red pill today? I know I've taken my red pill. Many out there that are still trapped in the political matrix, and they refuse to take the red pill. They're just like, give me the blue pill. I want to follow along blindly. And I'm going to tell you how that's able to be done today. And then after this, maybe, just maybe, you might have a little taste of the red pill. This last election has revealed some things, that if a person is a higher conscious being and not emotional, they would see it and go, whoa, I've been manipulated, or in the words of Tyler Perry and his shows, manipulated. I've been manipulated. So people right now have realized that they have been manipulated for years by the liberal party and, of course, the liberal media. Now, how is it possible to do this? That's the question. First of all, we know that for years the Democratic Party has consumed the majority of minority votes, and it wasn't always like that. You know, in fact, they were the biggest proponent for segregation, slavery, so on and so forth. But at some point where they realized, well, you can't beat them, you might as well join them, let's acquire the majority of the minority votes by hitting them with the Jedi mind trick. Basically saying, hey, look, these other guys over here, they don't have your best interest. We do. These other guys over here don't want you to have stuff. We do. We got your back. We're for the people. And unfortunately has been able to convince a large majority of minority voters that the Democrat Party is the party for the people, which blows my absolute mind, because if they were really for the people, they would agree regardless of party if the bill or the policy makes sense for the betterment of mankind. But when you look at it, they will disagree for the sake of disagreeing. You can tell if a Republican came out and said, if Donald Trump, let's just use him for example, if Donald Trump said today, it is important for human beings to have food, water, and shelter, the Democratic Party will say, that's ridiculous. I can't believe he said that everybody should eat. I mean, how that, you know what that means? He's not even talking about animals. I mean, he's just totally segregating the rest of humanity and the rest of society and the rest of all of these creations away. And I'm going, y'all would put a negative spin on something that makes practical sense. Now, how do you convince someone that something that absolutely makes sense doesn't make sense? Let me give you an example. I was watching Tucker Carlson, and he had a lady on there talking about this transgender movement. And in Canada, it was supposed to be this person who now, you know, had a baby, won't put on the birth certificate male or female, but instead let the child decide at some point whether it want to be male or female. Now, me personally, the biggest problem I have with this whole liberal movement and the Democratic Party and this and that is not only do they have liberal views, but they want to force the liberal views upon everyone. And if you don't accept it, they're moving towards legislating things that will penalize you. And I'm going, hey, I don't mind you doing your thing. As long as you don't want to do your thing with my thing, we're okay. But when you start saying, I'm going to go tattletale on you because you don't agree with me, and the government steps in and says, hey, you have to accept this person's fantasy or delusion, or else you're deemed immoral. You're deemed to be some wicked, evil, hateful person. You're teaching or preaching hate speech. All of these negative tags they try to put on us because people say, I just don't believe what this person believes. Now, how in the world can you get a large majority of society that buys into this crazy delusion? Well, look at it like this. The media, the liberal media, they have embraced this movement. So all it takes is somebody getting on TV and they say something like, I've been hurt. Nobody accepted me for the way I was. And on the inside, I felt these things. And now I've thought about often killing myself. Now, nobody wants to hear that. So everybody watching TV is going to go, oh. And the majority of people believes the news. And I'm glad Donald Trump's election has revealed that they are fake. A lot of them, the liberal media at least. But nonetheless, people go, oh, that's so sad. Then you get another guy that comes on that disagrees. You ask him a couple questions, and he says, scientifically speaking, it can't happen. You have males, you have females. It's been thousands of years we've been able to identify the difference between male and female, and now all of a sudden we just don't know. I mean, how do we get less smart? How do we go backwards when it comes to science? You want me to suspend all scientific data and buy into a fantasy or a delusion to justify this person's behavior? Where does that stop? What prevents me from just saying, you know what, I identify as a white man today. I identify as a chicken. You know, I mean, where does it stop? And then when people say things like, well, I was born this way, and that's why I can't help it. Well, where does that stop? At what point does someone who committed a heinous murder and just say, Your Honor, I got the killing gene. I was just born a natural born killer. Can't help it. Anything can be justified at that point by saying, I was born this way. It's greater than me. As if we don't have choice. Now, that's the logical way of seeing things. But when you put this guy on TV and he says that, then you get the media that says, how could you say this? How narrow-minded are you? I can't believe you're like one of the few people left. They make you think the majority of people don't think like you. Because all you see is this guy on TV getting bashed by the anchor man or woman, you know, and he's being looked at as you're so closed-minded, you're hateful, and you're preaching all this hate speech. And so subconsciously, a person will watch this and go, wow, I don't want to be in that guy's shoes. And if I'm out and somebody asks me about it, I'm either going to be quiet, because I know if I state what I really think, I'm going to be the guy on the hot seat, because everybody apparently have embraced this besides me. So, same thing when it comes to politics. Donald Trump, during his campaign, spoke about practical things. It is amazing to me that people that are still in the matrix have been convinced that these practical things that can help you in your life are now bad for you. Donald Trump said, let's keep jobs here in America. Donald Trump said, let's protect our borders and get all illegal immigrants that are criminals first out of our country, and then keep illegal immigrants from just flooding across the border. Donald Trump said, we know we got a problem with radical Islam and them trying to infiltrate our country, so let's put provisions in place to make sure we can vet them properly. Donald Trump said, let's go ahead and increase our infrastructure. Let's stay out of other countries' business unless we absolutely have to. Donald Trump spoke about all these practical things. Let's go ahead and protect freedom of religion, freedom of speech, all of this stuff. How in the world does the Democrats convince a large group of people that those things are bad, emotional? If you are so able to be manipulated that after all those things, a person can sit back and say, man, forget that. I hope all the jobs leave America. And you know what? It ain't about America being first. All that's being is isolationist, man. We being nationalistic. Matter of fact, forget protecting our borders. Let anybody come over here. See, because if we don't let them come over here, I guess we just racist and we hate everybody else. Yeah, man, forget all of that. I don't want my freedom of speech. I don't want to be able to carry a gun to protect myself. I'm going, you sound ridiculous. You sound like somebody saying, hey, man, I want to give you food, water, and shelter. And you say, man, I don't want no food and water, man. I don't want no shelter. I'd rather be out in the cold, man. You know, I'm going, that is how silly it sounds when I hear people arguing that are still in the matrix, arguing against policies that benefit them. I don't want a good job here in America, man. Send my job over to China. Shoot, man. Yeah, man, I don't want good health care, man. I want my premium to be so high I can't afford nothing. See how stupid it sounds when it comes out? Nah, man, forget that, man. You know what? Yeah, let 250,000 refugees that we have no idea where they're coming from, can't vet them, and ISIS done already said they gonna infiltrate through there. come over here and do some damage to America. But you know what? Bring them anyway. Out of 250,000, shoot, it only might be 2 or 3 of them that actually might be a terrorist. I deal with those odds. Like I said in another video, out of 1,000 Skittles, if 3 of them were laced with cyanide, would you eat one of those Skittles? No. You would be like, I'm not taking the chance. And so when you look at reasonable, practical things that make sense and will benefit you in America, and then you see the Democrats come in and put a PR spin on something that makes sense and tell you it's crazy, that is the quickest indication whether you are still in the matrix. If you look at that and go, that sounds okay to me, or not. And people who have said, that sounds crazy, and they're trying to sell this to me. They're feeding me boo-boo and telling me it's chocolate. So if you see the boo-boo, take the red pill. Get out of it. If you don't see the boo-boo, continue to carry on and shoot yourself in the foot. I want to give you $1 million, man. Man, I don't want your money, man. I'd rather be poor, man. I want to show you how to get off of welfare and become independent. Forget that. I want to rely on the man. You know what I'm saying? You know, that is how ridiculous it sounds when I hear people that fuss against practical, logical policies. It sounds nuts. And when I watch TV every day and I see these Democrats and on TV and the liberal media peddling this garbage, it disturbs me. And that's why I make these videos. And I hope somebody who's watching this says, you know what? That makes sense. When you just take emotions out of it and stop and listen and say, why are they saying that this is not good? What would be the potential motive of all these liberal Democrats in the media to just do anything they can to discredit Donald Trump, regardless of the impact that it have on our society, our country, our economy? It is all self-serving, and they're willing to sacrifice everybody to stay in power, to push a liberal agenda, and to push a global agenda. And if you don't see it, you will stay in the matrix. But I don't know about you. I took my red pill for the day. You want yours?